The Houston Museum of Natural Science recently opened its completely reimagined Wiess Energy Hall. Content Director Paul Bernhard gives us a tour.
The Energy Hall is 30,000 square feet of new exhibits, and they step off the elevator. The first thing that they see is sort of an immersive experience of being offshore on an offshore drilling platform. There's a huge video wall, and there's replicas of this, essentially robots that do drilling at sea. So, and the sound effects and the lighting take you to this place and make you go, where am I now? I'm somewhere new. We do a 4-minute overview on a giant screen, on a 15K resolution screen, the birth of the universe 13.5 billion years ago, and all the energy sources in the universe, and we go and how humanity has harnessed those, and that's all done in about 4 minutes. So now you're warmed up, and then we start, because this is Houston, Texas, of course, we start with the story of hydrocarbon energy, and we first look at the geology. We call it the upstream side of the business, of the industry and the science of it, and the nature, all of that. And then we go through geography and how we look for the geology, and then we go into geophysics and all the science that's involved in locating hydrocarbons. And finally, we drill for them, and we have drill bits like you wouldn't believe. You learn about how drill bits work, this amazing tool that's this physical, mechanical element that very hands-on in that section as well. And then we go, once we drill for oil, we get the oil out of the ground and we look at the reservoir, how sometimes it flows on its own, sometimes we have to help it flow, sometimes that requires some amazingly interesting technology that we look at, including a full-size remotely operated vehicle, which is a new thing to the hall, where you can actually try your hand at operating the robot arm of this underwater vehicle that's used to service wellheads. There's a new exhibit called Energy City. It's about 2,200 square feet, and it's a white model loosely based on the city of Houston and the surroundings, Gulf Coast and Central Texas. And it explores all of the current and future energy sources. Then we can continue kind of our break from the upstream downstream story and look at unconventional energy, because this is a new thing. Unconventional hydrocarbons have changed the way we look at hydrocarbon energy, because now there's so much more oil and gas available because of this new technology, things that we couldn't get before we can now get. So that's changing, and we look at all that, how that's especially important to Texas and to the US. And a part of that is our moving platform experience called the Eagle Ford Shale Experience, which actually you sit inside it and it flies you out to Karnes County and you go inside a shale well during a hydraulic fracturing job. Hydraulic fracturing or fracking is a buzzword, and this will make the technology and the science behind it a lot more understandable to people who have heard about it in the news but probably don't know exactly what it involves. From there, we can resume our story in the midstream section after we look at the unconventional section, and we see pipelines. We see this amazing network of pipelines that you can explore in great detail with a highly detailed map of it, as well as how pipelines are maintained using things called pipeline pigs that go through the pipeline. We have oil and natural gas. What do we do with this valuable resource? Well, we refine it and process it, and a barrel of crude oil has everything from very heavy hydrocarbons in it, like tar, to really light things like natural gases in it. So the refinery separates those all out, and rather than using the actual refinery, we simulate that activity with colored balls representing the light products or the heavy products, and I call it a pachinko machine. So we sort of show how we separate these different products in the hydrocarbon with this dynamic motion around of these little colored balls. And then we've gone around the perimeter, but I left out two things in the middle of the hall. We have the brand new Geovator, which was kind of a classic at the exhibit for the last 24 years at HMNS. But now the Geovator not only takes you down through the earth directly beneath Houston, but also takes you back in time to the Cretaceous period, at which time Houston was underwater, under a big ocean 66 million years ago. So you find out a little bit about that. And also, not to be missed in the middle of the hall is our future and renewable energy sources. It's this big twisting ribbon that has the most dynamic lighting in the hall, and that's where we look at not only the current renewable energy of today, including wind and solar and geothermal, but also some of the energy of tomorrow, including the possibility for fusion energy. Kind of looking to the future, how our energy mix is going to trend more toward these renewable sources over the next century, and that's kind of the thought that we leave you with as you finish your tour of the Wiess Energy Hall.
For more information about the Wiess Energy Hall, visit the museum's website, www.hmns.org. For Day Trips, I'm Stacee Hawkins.